Anyway, today, for the first time, we're doing an actual reaction content. I think. Probably. I want to do more of these so I don't learn how to talk more so I don't stutter and stuff. I got some good commentary, not just haha hee hee funny haha. I like to be able to talk about stuff too. Yeah. And what better way to talk about stuff, a topic? I had trouble finding a topic, so that was one of the reasons why I was a little late. I wanted to do something different, So what better thing to talk about than bam? Wait, do you see it? Oh wait. I got this toy not scuffed. Bam. Wait, put this up. There you go. What better way to talk about than this video is how Souls game saves your life. What better first reaction content than to talk about how Souls game saves your life? Yay! Why? Why is it good for you guys? Why do you talk about Souls game? Good morning. Hi Warren. Hi everyone. So yeah, totally not, I'm totally serious, intimidating, just so you know. I'm totally serious about this, so we're gonna talk about how Souls game saves your life. Since we're a gaming channel and we're playing Souls game right now, so yeah, this is totally my serious face, so just so you guys know, I'm about to get to business. Don't laugh at me, chat. Oh, look at this. Looks like I feel like a ragdoll. Watch this. What the heck? Why is my head moving like that? Can someone tell me why? Imagine Dad just grabs me. Remi, what's wrong with you? Stop shaking me, chat. Okay. Imagine there's a giant hand right here and Dad grabs you. Do I have that? Do I have that? Maybe I should make that a redeem. That would be so funny. It's great. Wait, do I have it? Wait, hold on. Yeah, is there a giant hand somewhere? And let's see. Do I have it? I totally do not have it. Eyes of Heaven hand, what? Wait, hold on, I'm looking for it. That'd be totally funny though. Hand hold. Is it this one? Maybe this one. I don't know, we could try this one. Wait. Imagine this is Chat's hand and you guys grab me. Oh, Chat, let me go. What is happening right now? Oh. So funny. Anyway, okay. Totally not nervous. Hi Andy. Look at the way my body moves. What the heck? Why is it like this? Why do you hate me, VTube Studios? Okay, let's see how I remove it. What? Hey, no grabbing around here. Okay. Yeah, bye. Yabba. Okay, let's see. Am I in the right position, chat? Do you like this positioning? Yeah, I bet you do. Anyway. I'm just an awkward being. Don't laugh at me. I'm just an awkward being, okay? I'd be like, hey, how you doing? Anyway. Okay. We turn on the music. Where the heck is the music? Oh, right here. Okay. I like the avatar most VTubers have big anime girls dresses takes a breath of fresh air. I don't know how I feel about that. Thank you. I think that's a good thing, right? It's a good thing, right? I mean, I still get to jiggle physics. Look, and by that I mean my hair and my ears, chat. You like my jiggle physics? I'm glad you like the model. I really like it too. I'm pretty small in real life. Not this small, but pretty small. I would say. I miss you. Hi. But okay. Should probably restart. I'm nervous. I've never really done a reaction content, let alone talking or discussing stuff. I wanna be able to, moving forward with the content, I wanna do more this year. Talk about real life problems or gaming and stuff. Not just reacting to like, oh, try not to laugh challenge and all of that, you know? Kinda like what, I don't know, kinda like a TED Talk. I feel like I do have a nerdy side, and I feel like I have a lot to talk about, and I want to talk about those stuff too, you know? Isn't good, right? Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty safe. Totally safe. You'll be fine. Totally not holding you guys hostage here. I'm, totally intimidating sometimes. No, not all the time. Not all the time. Hi, Remi. Let me give you a shout out. Blah. Wait, I want to try something, okay? Since my mod is in here, I want to try. What does this do? Hold on. Can I do this? There. Yeah, it works. Okay, awesome. Because I've always done like the shout out command, but not like, you know, the actual one at the top. I want to try that out. Me short over as small. I mean, I'm 5'2". Yeah, I'm not this small, but I am pretty small. The colors of your hair. It's it's black. Yeah, totally. Or brown, brownish. Message to see massage to see myself in live chat. Massage. Are you kidding me? Hi Subaru. Hi. Hi Jason. Hi everyone. Okay. So don't laugh at me, chat. I'm totally serious. Okay, this is my serious face. Okay, we're talking about serious stuff. Probably. Totally serious. First time doing reaction content. Anyway, you know, I like to joke around when I'm nervous and stuff. I don't know if you guys noticed. Or probably I'm probably not funny, that's or I'm probably not funny, that's why you guys, I don't know, sometimes when someone's not funny, they're actually funny. Yeah, I don't think I'm funny at all. Thank you everyone, I hope your day is going well too. You fit in a big pocket. I'll fit in your big pocket. How about that? I'm just kidding. Okay. Music. Beep. We're gonna talk about how Souls game changes your life, chat. I mean, it saves you, of course. Okay. By this person. Okay. I'm gonna start, okay? Wait. Okay.
This is a devil, a Tasmanian devil to be specific. And I know what you're thinking. Does it sound like this? No, it actually sounds like this. It's cute, maybe.
Wait, that's a Tasmanian devil?
But it's also very barbarian. It feeds on small animals like birds, snakes, wallabies, hell, even kangaroos.
Is swearing okay in chat? Depends on the swearing. I'd say some are okay, some are probably not. Like for me, swearing, like I can totally swear normally. I'm totally intimidating and stuff, but like But like, for stream I usually just say like cheese niblets or something. I don't know. I think it depends on the word. Yeah. Okay, let's see.
If it's an especially ballsy little
Hi,
crew of devils,
Kiki.
but I think we can all agree that these animals are not what you would call graceful. No, the steady hand of a surgeon is what you'd call graceful. A beautiful woman in fiction who can stitch your wounds with the power of her magical hair, or a colorful phoenix that rises from the ashes is graceful. Maybe a heart-wrenching tear at the climax of a movie that saves the day and
Aww.
restores order is graceful. A confident young Josuke cleverly repairing a wound just as quickly as he inflicts it is graceful, elegant even. Healers in games are stereotypically kind, affectionate, and soft-spoken. With a few rare exceptions, those...
Wait, why does that sound like me? Why does it sound like me? Soft spoken, kind. I mean, I like to think I'm kind. I like to help people, and there's a heart. I usually play support in video games, the healer.
and stories that serve the purpose of mending that which is broken are full of that which they give.
Thank you, Such Cat.
Grace. Graceful both in mannerism and in practice.
Typical healer.
When I think of these things, I don't think of the Tasmanian devil
She's
carrying
she's
the
my
corpse
favorite
of a
Disney
baby
princess.
kangaroo, and
Tingled.
yet ecologists think that devils can heal forests. Not with their glowing blonde locks in a song, no, with their barbarianism. You see, to wildly oversimplify it, there is an imbalance in mainland Australia. Feral cats and foxes run rampant through a lot of the forest area and heavily hunt small mammals like bandicoots, batongs, and potoroos. The problem here is, these little manadorks are extremely important for the vegetation. When they forage for food, they spread seeds, fungi, and other organic material into the soil, which means more vegetation, cooler forest floors, and smaller brush fires.
The cycle
if these
of life.
populations run low, well...
It's unprecedented.
However, if you have a few
The cycle of life is like, like in life you can't have just one thing. You need the other one to sustain the ecosystem and stuff, like we need bees for flowers and everything. Yeah. You can't have it without the other.
devils roll into town, suddenly the cats and foxes
Hi,
back
Cardi.
off quite a bit. Having to deal with only devils hunting them means that
They're
these small
so
mammals
cute.
can
What the
rebuild
heck?
vegetation and thrive without over or underpopulating the area. The devils, in theory, can indirectly heal the land. This is an example of something called a trophic cascade, and is exactly the same process illustrated in this video you've probably seen before. We're introducing wolves into Yellowstone.
Okay, so he's talking about how Tasmanian devils healed the land. Well, we're watching a video on how Souls game saves you. So he's kind of using that comparison and how Souls game also heals you in a way. But let's keep watching. You'll see.
National Park dynamically changed the flow of the rivers. It's a fascinating process, and it goes to show that appearances aren't everything. You may not think of a predator as restorative, just like you may not think of a vacation to a grim, unforgiving, dejecting world where your flaws are repeatedly exposed and you are punished for your mistakes over and over and over again as something that can save you. And yet,
Dark Souls came into my life just at the right time, and I would argue minimized the very prevalent risk of relapse that comes from a traumatic experience such as suicide.
Dark Souls, on the other hand, makes me feel as though I can accomplish anything with enough effort.
Actively trying to get better and have a positive outlook on life was a real struggle for me, and I still struggle with it every day. But the important thing to remember is that you are working on it now.
That dark cloud I mentioned earlier, I pretended that it was some crazy Bloodborne.
Okay, so he's saying here how Souls game. Why am I so nervous? He's saying how Souls game here can help a lot of people with depression and anxiety, because when you look at these bosses, or even like Fatalis and Monster Hunter and stuff, when you look at these bosses, you think, oh, they're so hard, like, it's so hard, I don't think I can overcome this. It's like any challenge in life that you go through, like you pretend these bosses are like the depression, you know, it's like the depression that you're trying to overcome, or the challenges that you're trying to solve in real life, you know? Like, I'm sort of going through a depression myself, I would say, because going through a heartbreak right now is like really hard for me. And I find some comfort in playing these Souls games. You know, like Monster Hunter or Elden Ring, like all of these, like fighting hard bosses and dying over and over, and eventually being able to defeat them. Like that feeling is, you know, makes me feel like I can overcome anything in life, you know? Like the bosses don't change. The challenges will always be there. Like you may go through one heartbreak, two heartbreak, three heartbreak, but each time you get stronger and you're able to learn how to overcome these challenges and these bosses. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah. He said, helps reinforce that things that look real and feel impossible are actually quite possible, even fun and easy, with dedication and practice. Yeah, and the more that these challenges that you have to face, like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, you know? You gotta learn how to overcome these challenges. Like it's hard at first. It's like going through my first heartbreak, like it's hard, right? I haven't been single in a long time, but at the beginning it's gonna be hard, but then again you face another boss and then another boss, and you like doing the playthrough of Elden Ring all over, like it gets easier. Yeah, it gets easier. And you get smarter and you get wiser. You know what builds you need to do to beat this boss or overcome these challenges, you know? Like, people think of this is why these Souls games are so popular. A lot of people like it and a lot of people can relate to it because of things like depression or anxiety or any type of problem that people have to overcome. Like fighting these bosses really gives you a sense of feeling that you're able to overcome it, even though it looks impossible or it seems impossible now. But yeah, it gets easier. Okay, let's keep going. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if I'm not making sense. This is my first time doing reaction content, so I want to be able to express a lot. Okay, let's keep going. He said, you can get through all of this, Remi. I went through a breakup at the end of 2023, 11 years and 4 months. Yeah, when you've been with someone for a long time and that person is no longer in your life, so it's like a big loss, you know? Like it feels like a loss, not that seeing that the relationship is a loss, but like it's like losing someone you care about, you know? And one day they're just not there anymore and it really hurts, you know? And you think to yourself, how do you overcome this? How do you continue to live without them, you know? All of that stuff. Like, it feels like an existential crisis, you know what I mean? Or not just relationship, but like maybe your mom or your dad or someone you care about that they're no longer with you, and you find it hard to deal with this depression or this sadness, you know? Especially as the first time and stuff, it gets hard, but eventually you're gonna have to overcome it. And fighting these bosses, even Fatalis, like I'm trying to solo Fatalis. Even with Fatalis, you think it is really hard, you know, fighting your demons and stuff. Yeah, once you are able to defeat it, it gives you a sense of feeling like you know, just because it seems impossible doesn't mean that it's not possible. You know, like you will get through this. You just gotta be strong.
Boss. And whenever I found myself falling into a dark place, I would picture myself fighting it. It sounds silly, but it's true, and it worked.
In a time where I was super depressed and I didn't have any direction, and all my friends that I had were in college, and I was barely making any money, and as kind of stupid as it sounds, it made me feel like I had some sense of purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Before 2022, I had never beaten a Souls game. But being a fan of YouTubers long before I was ever a
Same.
YouTuber myself, I noticed a trend. How Dark Souls helped me cope with suicidal depression. How Dark Souls 2 saved my life. Sekiro saved my life. Dark Souls helped
I
my
wanna
mental
play
health,
that.
but I don't know why. How Bloodborne helped with my depression. Dark Souls saved me. Prior to ever beating one of these games myself, I saw a lot of lamenting about Souls games, controversy over the difficulty, whether there should be an easy mode, talk of them being masterpieces, lots of use of the phrase.
Thank you, Dark Souls.
But the theme that constantly intrigued me the most was people who reported being genuinely changed for the better for having played it, even going as far as to say that it saved their life or helped lift them out of a depression. You know, we have the journeys of the world, the Life is Strange series, Grease, Before Your Eyes. When I picture games,
You said, have you been Elden Ring? Yeah, I have been Elden Ring. I'm doing my second playthrough right now. Mm-hmm.
that change people's lives and deliver them to a better place mentally, I don't picture this. And you may not either. But if you find the right thread and the right back alley online, you'll uncover a shamelessly
You shouldn't judge a game by its cover, you know? I didn't think this game was for me either. Like, initially, I thought, or mainly I played, like, Animal Crossing kind of games, you know? Like Mario, or, Power Road, Cooking Mama, you know, all of that stuff, Pokemon. I didn't think this was for me. But as I kept playing and kept wanting to, you know, I find purpose. Like, I want to defeat this boss. I want to figure out how to defeat them. And so, yeah, it has changed my life a lot and helped me overcome my battles in real life as well, you know. I felt like after defeating all these bosses, after dying over and over, that I felt like Souls game really did change my life and made me into a stronger and better person because of it, you know. Similar to any challenges you overcome in life, and it just makes you stronger. Are you excited for any of the new games? I definitely am. There's Night Rain coming, there's Wilds coming, there's so much this year. Gamers will eat good this year for sure. I love it. Yeah, alright, let's keep going. And also, you guys think like I don't know, like I didn't think I would be good at these games either, you know. But I learned to not just play it, you know. I learned to understand it. And if you understand how Souls game can help you, or understand the mechanic of the meaning of it, like what's the purpose? Why are you defeating this boss? How does it make you feel? You know, when you think deeper about it, it helps me play better. You know, I don't just play and have no idea what I'm doing. Like, you gotta understand it, you know. Enjoy the game for what it is, you know. Okay, let's keep going.
wholesome circle jerk of folks singing the praises of a Dark Souls or a Sekiro and how it
Easy
taught them
eat,
to
only a
fight
little bit.
back against their depression. Usually signing off on their story with the phrase, "Don't you dare go hollow." Corny as many admit that it appears,
Don't you dare go
there is
hollow.
something very real here about overcoming the challenges in a Souls game and how it changes people. Never once has a FromSoft game been listed as a nominee for Games for Impact at the Game Awards, and yet, maybe they should be. Devils heal forests, and it would seem that Souls games heal souls. But this
Why does Souls game heal souls? And what is he saying about don't go? What does he mean by saying don't go hollow? It's because, in life, if you have no challenges to overcome, if everything just gets handed to you, you just become soft and you become hollow. You don't have a purpose. You know what I mean? And with Souls game, it teaches you about it shows you challenges to overcome. Just like in life with challenges, every challenge you go through, it makes you stronger and smarter and wiser. You know, but without any of that, you'll just be you just be hollow. I don't know if that makes sense. You see, regarding loss, a mentor of mine passed away suddenly last year in the midst of a major project, and many people, including myself, were dependent on his leadership. Things were directionless and started to collapse. Depression and despair set in, and it was compounded by the fact that this was also our livelihoods and the careers of many people. He was like a father to me. I worked under his guidance for 20 years, but I was the next in line, and I had to step up and take his place. That is life. It's sad, and I'll always miss having someone older and wiser to rely on. But now is my time. Now is my time. So the wheel turns. Yeah. Just like in life, you never know what challenges you have to overcome. Sometimes it requires you to step forward, like right then and there. What are you gonna do? Run away and cry? You know what I mean? You gotta be prepared to face these challenges, you know? And sometimes you don't have a choice, you know? Certified, thank you so much for the follow, thank you. That's why you don't dare go hollow. People need us. You must drive forward. Exactly. You don't want to live a life where you depend on other people too much, or you have no challenges to overcome, because what lessons will you learn? Or how will you get stronger without overcoming any of them, you know? How will you change or improve as a person? Yeah. Who's this dino on you? Nobody. I just really like it. It's a gif I found on Google. Alright, let's keep going. And like, you know, some challenges, they come for you without you expecting it, and you're just forced to have to face the boss, you know? You're just forced to face it. Like, I don't want depression. I don't want to go with the heartbreak, you know, dealing with all that stuff or loss or anything. But when it comes down to it, you're just gonna have to keep going. You know, gotta have a purpose. You gotta keep fighting, or you'll just go hollow. And like it said, don't you dare go hollow. Alright, let's keep going.
This isn't just magic or some whimsical poetic sentiment that makes these games affect people in this way. It's a cute metaphor to do the whole devil's art of forests as Dark Souls is the mental health thing, but there is science to trophic cascades, and there must be science to what these...
Yeah, don't judge a game by its cover. You may not think it's not for you, but probably is, you know? Like, I learned my lesson. Like, I actually really like these games, you know? Just like how Tasmanian Devil looks, like, it's probably not cute, but like, it helps the ecosystem, you know?
These games do to the human psyche. And there is quite a bit, actually. So to dive into that, let me ask you a question. Do you remember the first word you learned how to spell? For me, it was red. There was a little song that they taught us to help us get it. I think it went something like this, maybe? R-E-D, red, I can spell red. And I'll never...
Like, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, Souls game is not for them, you know? It's not their type of game. I used to say that too. But I didn't think I'd be this good at playing Souls game, you know? Not pro. I wouldn't say I'm pro, but I'm not too bad. Pretty decent, I would say. Yeah. I've heard a lot of people say Souls game is not for them. I've heard so many. They're like, oh, it's so hard. I can't overcome this. Well, just like with life. There are times when things are gonna get hard. And you're just gonna have to keep going forward, you know? Gotta keep overcoming. And there's always gonna be another mountain to overcome. And each time you overcome a challenge or a mountain, you get stronger. And it becomes easier to overcome it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Never forget feeling a cascade of relief, because as a 4-year-old starting kindergarten, being away from your parents for the first time ever and doing something new and foreign like spelling was terrifying. But knowing I could spell a word was the first confidence boost I think I ever had. Maybe you also felt really good about yourself for spelling that word. Maybe it was something else. For you, it could have been riding your bike without training wheels for the first time. Maybe it was finally beating your brother in Smash. But whatever it was, you suddenly felt relief that you could do what you once feared you couldn't.
You overcome
That
it.
little boost of confidence we all likely felt as children is something called self-efficacy, our own perception that we can perform a task and achieve desired results. And to be clear, this is very different than self-esteem, which is a broader term largely referring to one's perceived worth. No, this is the feeling when you're getting the hang of something, when you've won a few rounds and feel comfortable with your strategy, when you're nervous to have a conversation with someone but then talking with them comes surprisingly natural, and when you start to get your first FromSoft game. It's the moment
I can relate to this so much because I didn't think I would be good at it, you know? I also have self-esteem issues and stuff and confidence. I didn't think I'd be a good gamer. I didn't think I'd be able to play Monster Hunter like ever. But once I had a taste of it and I overcome these challenges and bosses, I want more. I definitely want more.
when you start to understand when it's best to roll
French,
versus
thank you
when
so
it's
much for
best
the
to
follow.
simply walk or run to avoid attacks. When you realize that you can't button mash, when you start comfortably landing parries, when you realize that patience is everything.
Yeah, once you're able to overcome it, like you said, it's like the most liberating moment of your life. You just feel like a different person. I don't know, like I don't know if you guys have ever I'm sure a lot of you guys have experienced fighting giant bosses or solving a really hard puzzle before, you know? This is why I like math. Like I do have 2 math degrees and this is why I like math because these problems are hard. And when you overcome it, when you finally solve it, like oh, it feels like you're a different person. Like you're like, I got the hang of this. I'm in control, you know? I got this.
Several studies like this 2021 article have found that self-efficacy is negatively associated with a lot of things that I'm sure you're familiar with. Depression, anxiety, worry, even social avoidance. In essence, if you have a higher overall level of self-efficacy, you'll likely experience a lower amount of these other brutal thoughts and behaviors. The reverse is also true. Lower levels of self-efficacy are actually predictive of depression and the like. So as you find yourself getting better in these games, it provides a sense of competence and a chance for you to grasp that sensation of feeling sure of yourself once again. You start to feel comfortable with red, or in this case, handling every variety of enemy and environment, and in turn, in a time in your life when a lot of things other than spelling are new, foreign, and terrifying, your self-efficacy rises, and your darker thoughts may become less prevalent. Now, we need to pump the brakes a bit because you could easily say that a lot of games have those "oh, I get it now" moments, right? Most games provide a challenge and all games have to be beat in some way, right? And yet, you don't see many Mario Odyssey helped me overcome depression videos despite how brilliant that game was. What is it about Miyazaki's works specifically that brings
You said self-efficacy, feedback loop in a nutshell. The person who says I can and the person who says I can't are both right. I definitely agree with that. Sure, you probably feel like you can't, or you probably feel like you can't overcome it. But these bosses in the game, they're meant to be overcome. All these challenges that you go through, they're meant to be overcome. It's a part of life. You have to overcome these obstacles in order to get stronger. You know, survival of the fittest. And in order to get through these challenges, you just gotta, you know, like in these games, you worry about your build. How can you change your build to be able to fight better, you know, and get stronger? If you actually put in the time to figure things out and work your way and persevere, and you will definitely overcome any challenges.
bring people to an unapologetically reflective place? To answer that, let me ask you another question. Close your eyes and take yourself back to school learning to read, and then maybe fast forward 14 years or so. Maybe you're really there now and this will be easy for you, but imagine you've just got your exam grade back and you are less than pleased with it. Do you feel upset that you didn't study enough and that you should have done a better job preparing? Or that the test just wasn't written well and that no amount of studying would have helped, the subject matter was just too much for one exam, this class is just too hard, or you just had bad luck? Obviously, it depends on the exam, but what we're talking about,
Like with the exam, I say the exam is a boss. That's a boss fight right there. Like how you know how Souls game teaches you about life? Like so let's pretend that exam is a boss. How do you overcome this boss? You study. What do you study? How do you study it? It's all about the build, how you build up to it, you know, to be able to overcome these challenges, these bosses. You gotta persevere. It teaches you about perseverance and all of that. Like, I don't know, Souls game is such amazing. I love Souls game. You have no idea. You said 2 math degrees. I have 2 math degrees and 1 biology degree, and I'm pursuing nursing and psychology right now. Yeah. Well, trying to pursue psychology as well. Alright, let's keep going.
out here are attributions, Johns, as some of you might call them. Your explanation for your bad performance here.
You do get to go head to head, please. No Johns.
The difference in these two cases is whether your excuse for this is internal in that you personally accepted responsibility, or external in that you blamed the outcome on the outside world. This is something that psychologists refer to as a locus of control. Do you blame yourself for things that happen to you, or your circumstances? Was it a lack of skill or a lack of luck that shackled you to this?
Just like what Switch said here, the person who says I can and the person who says I can't are both right. Like, you have the locus of control. Like, maybe you're right that you don't have skills. Maybe you're right that you didn't have enough time to study and all that. But it all comes down to, doesn't matter the excuses or the reason. Like, it all comes down to how you're able to overcome these boss fights. You know, you gotta, I don't know, like, instead of blaming on other things that you can't control, why not work towards finding the right strategy to overcome? Like, depends on your build. Like, you gotta figure out your build and everything to overcome these bosses, you know? Yeah.
This shitty grade. Now, I don't want you to hyper focus on what your answer was. I know that the internal
You say for Dawn's calculus exam, you're so real for that. So real.
locus seems more admirable here, but if you had a bad grade due to an error with the answer key, or the exam mistakenly had material on it that wasn't covered in class and the instructor is planning to reimburse everyone for those points, then suddenly the dude with the internal locus is beating themselves up over nothing. Not everything in life is in your control, and because of this, neither locus is inherently good or bad, it's situational. I'm sure you can imagine.
Stop thinking about things that you can't not control and think about the things that you can control. What can you change? What can you do differently to overcome this boss battle? You know?
All the ways your locus of control can affect excuses for
Locus,
failure.
not
So
focus, yeah.
let me ask you the same question as before, but this time, let's say you did really, really well on this exam. It's an A, a high A. Is your locus internal or external now? Do you give yourself credit for that grade, or do you call it luck, say we take those, or even just assume that the test must have been easy? Albert Bandura, the psychologist who originally proposed self-efficacy in 1997, posits that efficacy is developed from 4 sources: vicarious experience, verbal persuasion, affective states, and mastery experiences, that last one being the most prevalent source. Mastery experiences are exactly what they sound like, seeing for yourself that you have mastered something. Proving to yourself that you can spell red is a mastery experience, as is riding your bike with no training wheels, or finally beating Ornstein and Smo.
Mastery of your craft is like practice makes perfect, you know? The more challenges you have to overcome, the stronger you get.
They are the most effective source because they provide real.
You said To stress over things beyond your control is futility. Do your best with all you can and accept that phenomena happen. Even so, fortune favors the prepared. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a deadly thing. Fortune favors the prepared, and I think it also favors the bold. Like, if you're just gonna be scared or blame it on other stuff, you know, you're never gonna be able to overcome it. You're never ever gonna beat this boss. So it's best to focus on things you can control rather than things you cannot, you know? Like, what can I get? How can I make my build stronger? I gotta fight all these monsters in Monster Hunter to upgrade my weapon, upgrade my armor, upgrade all of that. You know, you gotta have a plan.
Tangible evidence that you
Hi,
can
Tara.
do it. Pep talks are nice, watching someone else do it is nice, but doing it yourself is proof that you've got this. Usually. The caveat here is locus of control, because you very well could do well on that exam, but then discount it as luck or the exam simply not being that tough. And studies like this.
And I think, in my opinion, that having other people carry you is good and all. And, you know, you can cheat your way and all of that. But if you're able to overcome it yourself, like soloing a boss, and you actually overcome that boss, you know, definitely a different feeling for sure. Feels more accomplished, in my opinion. I think you guys can agree to that, right?
2016 analysis on self-efficacy
Hi,
for computer
Kiyomi.
software
Thank you for the
showed
follow.
that
Thank you
this
for
is
the follow,
often the
Tara.
case. The only way mastery experience actually helps build our efficacy is if we can confidently attribute what we've done to our own skill and not some other factor like a lack of task difficulty or luck. And I think this is what separates Miyazaki's works from the pack.
Things
Most
you can
games, in my
control.
experience, are built to be beat. They are constructed to keep you engaged in a flow state such that you are constantly receiving a fair challenge, right? As you beat enemies in turn-based RPGs, you gain experience, and with enough grinding, winning is less dependent on your own decision-making and more a factor of how over-leveled you are. Quick-time events can hardly be called a challenge, but they do look and feel nice. Roguelikes like Inscription and Hades become easier as the game passes because you'll consistently find power-ups that will stick with you in your next run, meaning you'll never truly start from scratch again. If you keep struggling, the game will keep accommodating. Mario Kart rewards you with better items if you're doing worse, and some games like Resi 4 and Max Payne actually change the difficulty of enemies if you aren't playing well in an attempt to keep you feeling like
HPSK, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in. Let's see, your vocabulary is amazing. I try. I don't think I'm not that good with English, I think. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Switchcat said, this is another thing that is built into games like Monhun, in fact. Your first Vitalis solo might truly be luck, but you can't get everything from winning once. Once you have beaten him 4 to 5 times, you know it's not luck. This is important. When you're able to depend on yourself more, it feels more rewarding when you yourself are able to overcome these challenges, you know? Like, it's easy to ask for help, it's easy to rely on other people, but what if they're not there, you know? What are you gonna rely on? What if you're being forced to face a challenge out of the blue and you're by yourself, you know? Like, it's good to have luck and everything, but you shouldn't rely solely on luck. Like, my math teacher always said, if you can't explain something, then you really don't understand it. You really don't know how to overcome it. And whatever you don't know, whatever you have a problem or struggle with, it will come to bite you in the beep boop, you know? It will come to bite you again. So it's best to overcome it in case the problem or the boss appears again. Like, you'll be strong and you'll know what to do to overcome that boss battle or that challenge in life.
a badass. And this is not a critique, by the way. Games are built to craft an experience, and if you're struggling more than the devs want, it can tarnish the intended message. However, when it comes to locus of control, I think you and I would agree that a victory in most games can be attributed to either our own skill or just as easily attributed to the game being.
Izzy Switch says, Wisdom makes simple the complex, and foolishness makes complex the simple. I also agree with this because wisdom, like when you understand the problem, you don't just say 2 plus 2 is 4. You gotta explain why, you know? Like I said, my math teacher always tells me, if you can't explain something, then you really don't know it, you know? And as you go higher in the math class, teacher will make you write paragraphs to explain why that is the answer to the problem, you know? They will make you write paragraphs. Trust me, I've been through it. It's more theory based. So, definitely, if you don't know how to explain something, you really don't understand it. And like with a boss battle, you know, wisdom makes simple the complex. Like in order to beat this boss battle, you don't just beat it, you know? You gotta figure out the right build. You gotta go through a bunch of stuff in order to know how to defeat the boss. I would say it takes, like, you have to grind. Oh my gosh, Kat, thank you so much for the raid. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome in. Hold on, let me give you a shout out. How is your stream? Oh, by the way, chat, we have a thank you, Switch, thank you. We have a collab coming this Wednesday. We're gonna be playing Minecraft with Kat, so feel free to go watch us. Please go check her out. She's really cute, and she has a really cute voice and a really cute model, and I really like her a lot. Please go check her out. Hello everyone, we're doing reacting content for the first time. Yeah, please get comfy, grab some popcorn, something to drink, and all that. Hi, Kat. Okay, let's keep going. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome.
Being built as an interactive tour that's designed.
Oh yeah, we're talking about how Souls game saves you, like how it teaches about real life as well, overcoming these bosses, overcoming these challenges, and it takes a lot of perseverance and figuring out the right build. And as you beat each boss, you get stronger. So when another boss comes, another challenge you have to face in your life, you'll know what to do. You'll be a stronger and better person because of it. So that's what we're talking about right now. Alright, let's keep going.
Designed to be beaten. Can I really feel like I've accomplished a feat if I beat Final Fantasy VII Remake? Can I flex on people that I got past Bylosite? And
every boss, everything in the game or any boss fight, they're meant to be beaten. So when you think that you can, there's always a way, you know? It's like my math teacher, this may or may not be true, but my math teacher always said, every problem has a solution, and it's up to you to find that solution, you know?
Skyward Sword. I think for
The
some
right
people,
mindset's
video games,
key.
though
I
fun,
agree.
are generally patronizing with their difficulty, and any victory in them can be easily attributed to the game setting you up for success and not your own merits. Again, not a bad thing per se, but very much the norm, I feel. Souls games, however, are quite different. There
What
is
game
no
is that?
in-game reward for failure here. There are upgradable equipment
play.
and levels, but easily the biggest determining factor is your performance. There is no luck. There are no reverse feedback loops or pity items. There are no dynamic difficulty adjustments. There is no easy mode.
Yes. I've had my taste of Souls game. Well, it's just Elden Ring, but like there is no easy mode. There's no easy mode out of it. You gotta learn the dodges. You gotta learn how to do the right build and everything. Every boss fight is different. Like there's no such thing as luck. Okay, there's no such thing as, you gotta have the skills. You gotta practice and grind and level up. There's no way you can beat the bosses. Especially if it's your first time like me. It's gonna be really difficult. There's no way out of it. Just like in life. Like, sometimes in life, there are challenges that you have to face that there's no easy way out. You know, you gotta make tough decisions and everything. And, Oh god, I lost my train of thought. This is my first time. There's gonna be tough challenges to overcome, and you can't really just rely on luck or other people or cheat your way out of it. You know, life is gonna force you to solo these bosses, and you're just gonna have to be ready.
If most games are built to be beaten,
Hi,
FromSoft
Edie.
games are
Hi,
built to
everyone.
make you quit. Your Zeldas, your Arkhams, your Tsushimas, they all provide an adventure, but these games provide a provocation. They insist that they can't be bested, and they dare you to try and prove them wrong. Every enemy is a threat. There is no ego fodder here. Damage is never neglected.
Yeah, chat. Life sucks. Life sucks, okay? We all get it. You know, what are you gonna do? Cry about it? You gotta get up and you gotta fight. That's just it.
Nothing is ever certain. In this series,
You go through depression, you gotta fight it. Imagine these bosses is like depression. You gotta overcome it. You gotta keep on living, you know?
embarrass you just as early and often as some others will coddle you. Sometimes bosses are every nightmare you've ever had, minced, sauteed, and served to
Exactly.
you in disgusting steaming heaps.
There
And
is
other
no
times,
easy
They
mode.
are every bit as ferocious as they are regal. The terrain is often breathtaking both in its semblance and in its treachery. There is a boss
Not just with Elden Ring, but with other Souls game, other video games, any video games really. Like, not just that, you know, there's always gonna be challenges that you have to overcome. It's how you do it that makes you stronger. You said, bosses that are hard and games that are not for everyone, that has value. Souls games are not a story of a character, they're the story of the player. Yeah, it's not about these bosses, you know, it's how you overcome it, it's about you. Exactly. This is your story. How do you overcome? How do you beat this boss? How do you beat life? I don't know if that makes sense. It's how, yeah, like someone said in chat, it's all about the right mindset, you know? Amygdala's depression. Yeah, I get it. But you know, you can't let that stop you, you know? You're always gonna be facing these challenges, and like for me, for instance, I'm human and I will go through a bunch of obstacles in life, and am I gonna let that hold me back, or am I gonna fight? There's no easy way out of it. There's no cheesy, there's no luck, there's no easy mode and stuff. Am I gonna let it hold me back? Am I just gonna let my patient die? What if I become a mom? What if I become a single mom? Am I gonna let my children die? Because I just went through a very hard divorce, you know, stuff like that. You just never know when life hits you with a boss fight. What are you gonna do? You know? And each time you overcome these challenges, it really does change you. When you beat these boss fights and you die over and over and you finally beat them, it really teaches you about life. It really changes you. You know, it teaches you that you're able to do this. Even though it looks impossible, these bosses look so freaking scary. Like, you can do it. You know, if you put your mind to it, put the pieces together, you know, do your build, do your grinding. What do you do? Yeah. Hi, Blythe. Hi, everyone. I always get hit with boss fight. Me too. Relatable.
boss in Bloodborne
Twins.
literally called
Twins.
amygdala, which
Hi,
is the part of your
Andreas.
brain that processes fear and aggression. And because of all this, if you've ever beaten one of these games, you'll know that it wasn't because you deserved it, it's because you damn well earned it. There is absolutely no way to flunk your way through Souls games, and because of this, there is no
Yeah, nobody deserves bad things to happen to them. You know, nobody deserves depression, nobody deserves sickness, nobody deserves it, you know. But when it happens, what are you gonna do? Are you just gonna cry? Are you just gonna be weak and not live and survive? You know? Yeah. Alma hates me. I'm sorry about that. My stream elements is a little strict sometimes. Yeah. Sorry about that, cat. Yeah, sometimes when my mods are not here, stream elements does a lot of the work. So yeah, we have stream elements as a mod as well. Sorry about that. Thank you for the follows, everyone. Welcome, welcome. No one deserves bad or good things. To deserve is to assume these things have some kind of motivation. Things happen, survivors survive. Yeah, even with good things, like life doesn't owe you stuff, you know? Imagine being put in a desert. Imagine living in a desert. Life doesn't owe you stuff. Then there's not gonna be people to give you water or shelter. What are you gonna do? Are you just gonna die? You know? You just gotta keep on fighting. Every boss fight, every challenge is meant to be overcome. And you got this. You can do it. Just gotta believe in yourself. Have the right mindset. Persevere. Yeah. Good night, cat. Sweet dreams tonight. Thank you so much for the read. I appreciate you. Dark Souls can be unforgiving, just like life. You know, life sucks, and it's gonna hit you before you even know it. And what you gonna do? You're gonna hit back harder. You know, you gotta earn your right to survive. You gotta survive. Cause nobody's gonna, cause oftentimes in life nobody's gonna help you. You know, when you most need it.
Way to have an external attribution for them. These games demand
night,
that you take it fully upon yourself to win. So any victory afforded to you will be seen with an internal locus. And since you know that you were the one that made this happen and not the game, since you took that dare, proved to the game and yourself that you could do it, and rose to the occasion, your self-efficacy rose right along with you. Which, if we are to believe the study from earlier, should have a direct psychological effect on some of those darker thoughts. By climbing out of the pit that FromSoft games throw you in,
to be able to take control of your life, you gotta do things yourself sometimes, and that's just the fact of life. It's sad, but sometimes you just can't depend on anyone but yourself, you know?
you are provided with first-hand evidence that you can, in fact, overcome
Hi, welcome
those
in.
demons,
Hi, everyone.
and you can do it on your own merit.
If you feel like there's something wrong, making that first initial step to actively try and better yourself is such a great achievement.
I don't know, it gave me some sort
Great
of sense
feeling.
of control in my life that I somehow went from sucking ass, fighting the skeletons at the beginning of
Exactly.
and beating the game.
The way to live a happy life becomes clear. Take the little steps to gain as much agency over your life as possible.
It's certainly important to note a few things, like in the 2021 article from earlier, self-efficacy is only negatively correlated with depression, anxiety, worry, and social avoidance. It doesn't mean that raising self-efficacy is guaranteed to fix those things. The relationship goes both ways. Correlation isn't causation. You could certainly see where
You said people say Souls games are hard with infinite reveals and bonfire checkpoints. Yeah, Souls game can be pretty tough, and there's no easy mode, just like with life. This is why Souls game not just saves you, but teaches you a lot about life. There are often times where these challenges are gonna be hard, you know. Well, don't just sit around and cry about it. You gotta figure out a way. You gotta take control of your life, because you're the one that's living it. And are you just gonna let life hit you and not hit back? You know what I mean? You gotta be able to overcome these challenges and, you know, live your life. You know, don't just live, and, you know, just gotta keep on living.
a repeated failure leads to low efficacy and in turn depression.
Eyewitness.
But you could also imagine that the death of a loved one creates a depression that leads to the person feeling helpless. We can say with confidence that both factors are related in an inverse manner, but while it may help, beating Bloodborne won't necessarily bring you out of that dark place.
I think so too. It's not about it's not just about overcoming these boss fights. It's about your story, how you are able to persevere and not give up is what's important. You know, oftentimes in life there are things that makes us want to give up. You know, we just want to go hide in a blanket and cry and not face the world. And um and it's really hard to keep on going. But if you're able to overcome it and not give up, then that's what makes you a winner, you know? Yeah, only losers quit. Games used to have limited lives before game over screen. Yeah, these games, Souls games are really hard games. They're considered one of the hardest genre of games out there, for sure. And because of how it relates to real life, I think it's why a lot of people relate to it. A lot of people like it. It's why I want Game of the Year. Like, not just the graphics or the storyline's good, but these boss fights. I also think they brought in a lot of new Souls lovers. You know what I mean? Like Elden Ring, for instance. I think it opened the door for a lot of people to like and play more Souls game. Like for me, for instance, I didn't think I liked these type of games. You know, I thought I was more of an Animal Crossing person. And once I had a taste of it, I'm like, I get it. I get it. You don't just play the game, like you understand the meaning and what it teaches you. I would say. Yeah, okay, let's keep going.
Place. These games aren't for everyone, and even if it is for you, it may not be everything you need. But I think the reason this series does change so many people is because in a lot of cases, that boost to self-efficacy has a very real, palpable effect on anxiety and the like. I'm stressed about dealing with people at work and my heavy course load at school, but after beating Artorias, after beating the Demon of Hatred, after finally getting past Margit, maybe it's not too much for me to handle. Of course, self-efficacy in Souls games is not the same thing as self-efficacy in life, right? This does not translate to being a good conversationalist or even a good person. Well, yeah, winning here won't fix your problems, but the efficacy...
Peanut, thank you so much for the follow, thank you. I would say a lot of people quit the... Is that person versus person? PvP is person versus person, right? Wait, why? Because there's stronger players or something? Hi Peanut, welcome in. But once I had a taste of it, she really means once my manager said Crimey River, we got more than 2 rivers. Yeah, like right now, I'm going through a dark spot in my life. And I'm kind of dealing with depression myself, but you know, I'm trying to overcome it. I'm trying to learn to be more self-efficacy. Learn how to be... Oh my gosh, why is English so hard, guys? Why is English so hard? Like, I'm trying to be more self-sufficient. I don't know what that word I'm looking for, but you get it. Yeah, after playing Manhunt, I'm like, this is so fun. I just want to keep overcoming these challenges. It makes me feel good about myself, you know? And like I said, it doesn't teach you, like, it doesn't mean, like, get good in life. But the main thing is self-efficacy. How you're able to persevere and how you're able to find ways or strategy to overcome the challenges is what matters. You know, it's not about the boss fight. It's about the fight. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
From it may be more generalizable than you think. One study found that self-efficacy training in a sample of women increased self-efficacy perceptions not only for self-defense skills, but also across a handful of things like sports competencies and...
Wait, what? Assessing generalization perceived self-efficacy, multi-domain and goal assessments of the effects of self-defense training for women. Whoa, really? Hold on, let's keep going.
And coping skills. In another 2011 meta-analysis, researchers found that in patients with high blood pressure, higher self-efficacy was associated with self-care behaviors like medication adherence, physical activity, and dietary changes.
I like this here because I think that oftentimes problems in life, just like with medical stuff, like sometimes it's up to you. You know, self-efficacy is up to you to find that balance, find that perseverance. You know, how, like for example, how you self-care, do self-care and all of this stuff sometimes is, you know, you just gotta solo. Sometimes it's just about being able to be self-sufficient, you know. Like I said, it's not about the boss battle, it's about the battle, how you're able to overcome it, that really matters.
Our confidence in one task, it seems, often bleeds into other domains of our life. For many people, I think Miyazaki's works are a wake-up call, an invitation to find proof of your strength disguised as a hauntingly gorgeous game that your friends won't stop talking about. I think every single one of us would be lying if we said that we've never doubted our ability to do anything. Sometimes something as simple as getting out of bed in the morning feels like a Herculean task. Sometimes trying to believe a positive thought is like trying to start a fire in a rainstorm.
Izzy Switchcat said, all goes back to overcoming challenges. A game is just a game. What's happening in your brain is still happening. That feeds into real life, and eventually real life wins will add to it. Exactly. Like how these games taught you to persevere and all of that. And in real life, if you're able to persevere and not give up, if you're able to get out of that blanket and stop crying, you get stronger in life. Definitely teaches you a lot about life. It's like what I told you in voice chat earlier. Half the workout is just getting to the gym. Exactly. Exactly. It's not just going to the gym. Oh, it's not just training at the gym, you know, you have to get off the chair and go to the gym. Like you have to actually put in effort to better yourself. I'm a huge advocate for mental health, following on meds that have been working. I'm so glad. Yeah, same here. Mental health is really important. And with these games that I've played recently, Monster Hunter and Elden Ring and the genre of Souls game itself, like it it really put me in a better mental state, I would say, you know, because I am dealing with depression myself, and to be able to know that I can overcome it, then it really makes me feel like I have control of my life again, you know, like I can do it. I got what it takes. I just gotta persevere, fight through it, figure out how to overcome these battles that I'm facing, you know. Like I said, my math teacher said, you know, there's always a solution to every problem. And if I can do it, you can do it too. You know, if you're going through something, know that it's not the end of the world. Every boss fight in a game is meant to be beaten. You know, like every challenges in life is meant for you to overcome. Alright, let's keep going.
Storm. But what I love about these games, and really any game that's brutally difficult, is that they are every bit as harsh as reality sometimes. Much like your real life circumstances, they don't care about you or your feelings. They are what they are, unmoving, unwavering, unyielding.
Exactly what it's talking about here. Life doesn't care who you are, how old you are, or where you come from. Like these mountains that you have to overcome, they don't care. They don't care who you are or what you went through or your past, you know. It's up to you to, you know, keep going, keep fighting, and you gotta earn that right, you know, to how should I say this? Like fighting these boss battles. Oh my god, I'm so nervous. Sorry, it's my first time doing reaction. Like, oh, my headphones. Wait, what are we talking about again? Oh my god, what are we talking about again? Oh my god, I lost my train of thoughts. ADHD moment. Something to learn from Sekiro's combat system is to be proactive. Yeah, it's all about the mindset. I would say, like, life doesn't care who you are, you know. You just gotta have to overcome it.
And even so, you still face them head
Yeah,
on.
moving along.
Much like trophic cascades, this is not just an encouraging sentiment. It's a very real, measurable phenomenon. Overcoming difficulty builds confidence, it builds perseverance, it builds your self-efficacy, it gives you proof that you can overcome whatever the universe has placed in front of you, and knowing that others have overcome the same challenges you have, both in these games and in the real world, can remind us that we are not alone in our struggle. You are not the first or the last to fight the good fights, and it's one that you can win. You know that now, don't you? So keep on fighting that fight. This
is why Souls games are so popular. Like, people can relate to it, you know? You don't feel like you're alone. I'd say you don't feel like you're fighting these tough battles. Like, you don't feel like you're the only one that's going through it. Everyone has to go through it. Everyone's playing this game, you know?
Safe, friends. And
everyone
don't you
has
dare
to fight.
Go hollow. Hey there, thank you so very much for being here. I hope you liked this one. It felt nice to take a break from the creepy stuff and get back to something that was a little more...
Yeah, the fights are hard, but not impossible. Exactly. Emo but inspirational in the morning hits the... Hi Jill, thank you. Yeah, don't you dare go hollow. What good is life if there are no challenges to overcome? Just like with my Discord bio. I really like that quote. You know, what good is life if there's no bosses to fight? You know, you're just gonna be hollow, live a boring life. So, you know, it's okay to go through hard times. It's okay. You know, you got this. You can overcome it. If other people can do it, you can do it. And you're not alone. Everyone should play Monster Hunter and then Monster. Monster Hunter really changed my life. It made me be brave to play Elden Ring, guys. Souls game, my first Souls game. Yeah, Souls, and then, yes. And I think Monster Hunter is also very Souls-like because you have big bosses to fight. You gotta worry about your build, position yourself in the right spot so monsters don't kill you. All of that stuff. Like, Souls game itself, or Souls-like games really teaches you a lot. People think, oh, it's just a game, just go beat bosses, you know. And that's why a lot of people quit. I think if you understand these games, you can get good at these kinds of games. Like, understand the game itself, you know, like what it's teaching you. And like I said, it's not about the boss fight, it's about the fight. How are you able to overcome it? Just like in life, how are you able to overcome these mountains that you're facing? An older person saying beginner problems or a better gamer saying skill issue is not necessarily an insult. It's encouragement because it means you're talking to living proof that you can get through it. Yeah. For someone who says there's a skill issue, like, I don't find that insulting. I feel like, I gotta get good just like you guys. If you can do it, I can do it. That's what I like to think about, you know? I never said I was a pro gamer or anything, you know? When someone says, oh, what's wrong with you? Why do you keep dashing all of that? I'm like, I don't know, I'm new to Souls game, you know? It's not an insult. I don't get insulted very easily. I would say, yeah, I'm pretty bad, so you know what? I'm gonna try to get better. You know, I don't rage quit or anything. Or when an older person says beginner problems, like, don't take that as like they don't care about you. That's why they said, like, they're not trying to brush it off. They're just trying to say that they've been through it before. You know, if other people can do it, you can do it. Like, it might feel hard at first if you're facing that problem for the first time. Like, for me, it's heartbreak. So, for the first time, it feels like an existential crisis. But the more you face these challenges, the more you overcome, the next time you get a heartbreak, you'll be like, oh, I know how this goes. I'll be okay. I can overcome these challenges, you know? You can always get good. Yeah. It's always possible to overcome it. You just gotta figure out how. Just gotta be, you know, just gotta put in effort, be more persevere. If not for Manhunt Shadow of Colossus, there would be no souls. Souls and Manhunt are a different species now, but they evolved from the same origin. I'm not trying to compare which game is better. Both games are good in their own right. Monster Hunter and Elden Ring or Souls-like games, I'm saying they have similarities that that are similar. Boss fights, your build, everything. All of this stuff teaches you about life. You know? Like with a math problem as well. How do you get the answer? There's always a way to find the answer. There's always a build, there's always a strategy. Like, if somebody can do it, you can do it. You know? And think about things that you can control, not things that you cannot. It's not about the challenges, it's not about the boss fights, it's about the fight, how you're able to overcome it. That makes you stronger. That shows you who you are as a person and a character. Endurable or endurable? It is endurable. If it is endurable, endure it. Exactly. Like if you're going through hell, keep going. Just keep going and you'll get out of it. And when it happens again, you won't be afraid anymore, you know? You'll know what to do. We are souls, exactly. Yeah. Okay, let's go to Elden Ring.